And now we're pleased to be joined by Markelle Fultz, joining us here on Magic Pod Squad, and Dante Marcatelli, George Galante, David Steele, Jeff Turner. Markelle Fultz is happy to be back playing, joining his team for a number of reasons, probably at the top of the list. He gets to travel and he gets to get some rest. He's got two little ones, a 2-year-old, a newborn. You get to that hotel and get a really nice full night's sleep, don't you, Markelle?
Yeah, you just get to sleep and it's crazy because sometimes I still feel like I hear, babies crying or somebody calling me sometimes. But no, it's definitely, I enjoy my time with my kids, but it's definitely nice, to sleep in the bed and, just sleep until you wake up.
Right. Are they up most of the night now? What's your normal night routine, or are you like George and you just sleep through everything?
That's not true.
I will say sometimes I do got to get my rest, so I will sleep through stuff. But they're pretty good at the night. And every once in a while, they'll whine, they get in the bed. They want to be real cuddled up and everything. So, but for the most part, they sleep through the night. Pretty much go to bed around 8 and sleep pretty much almost to the morning. Just got to change the diaper. No one, no pissy diapers.
No.
Dante doesn't know anything about that.
Hey man,
yeah.
I was a diaper team. What about David and JT? Were you guys good on the diapers?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You got to get all hands in, all hands on deck, Dante. You know how it goes.
Yes, of course.
Right, JT?
Lot of 2 a.m. sports centers for me, with the diaper and the feedings, man. I remember those days. Long time ago, though, but I remember.
We did it all too, Markelle.
But it's fun. There's nothing better. Are you excited about Christmas time? Like they're young enough to now where your son might kind of start recognizing some stuff.
No,
Christmas,
absolutely.
right?
He actually helped put up some of the Christmas tree this year. They both actually put some ornaments on and stuff. So we were kind of excited to decorate this year for Christmas, just because the spirit for the kids and everything like that.
All right. Well, just tell us, Markelle, and how good is it to be back? How much do you? I know it wasn't the start to the season you wanted. You had such a great summer. I'm sure that hurt to not be able to start at the start of the season, but I know you're fired up to be back, and we're so glad to have you.
Absolutely. I just want to give all praise to God, and I'm extremely thankful, for my journey and everything I've been through. But just to be back on the court and just play basketball and be able to compete and be a competitor, it means the world to me. So it's amazing just to be back out there and just being able to compete with my brothers and go out there and just try to get better every day and have fun with it.
Markelle, we all know that you've been through a lot physically, and to get where you are, you're back, you're 100% right now. You're playing great basketball for the team. But with all that you've been through, I'm just curious, what do you lean on? How have you gotten through this in such a positive way? Because we've been around you now 3 years, and I think we're all impressed with just what a positive person you are, how you never seem to really get too down about things, and you just keep fighting back. What is it about that drives you?
I just think it's my faith, and it's also my support system. I think that I really have a good support system around me who loves me for who I am. And I know that I'm blessed, so I don't take anything for granted, and I look at everything with a great perspective. And I know it's going to be ups and downs, but I really enjoy the game of basketball and love the game of basketball. So a lot of the stuff that you see is just my passion for the game, and I give it everything I have, and I live with the results of it. And I also just try to treat people the way I want to be treated and the way I want my family to be treated. And I think that's something else that you see through, everyday interactions, because I know that everybody's human and everybody goes through things. So again, I just try to stay on that and understand that, it's going to be ups and downs, and I'm going to be okay as long as I keep pushing to keep a good mindset.
Markelle, I remember last year when you came back, we asked you about, just how you looked at the game when you were out and what you learned. And was it the same way at the beginning of this season? Because looking at the team, the way it was playing, when you were watching it and at practices and everything, what did you see? What were you leaning on when you were looking at when you came back, how you would affect the team?
First of all, just really amazed at what my teammates were doing. Paolo, Franz, it goes on and on, the list goes on. But just watching these guys, how interchangeable, and some guys being put into positions that maybe they not would have been put in if everybody was healthy. And seeing how well they adapted, just proud of them for continuing to compete, but also understanding like, okay, this is a part of the game where we have multiple playmakers who can dribble the ball, and I can be somebody who's setting the screen and rolling. Just trying to figure out how I can also make their games easy and benefit, to help the team be better, but also seeing where I can help them out at as well, knowing that they're great cutters off the ball, knowing they can spot up and shoot, knowing that they can show other abilities for people to create for them, So that was a big thing that was in my mind, just, thinking about that. And then also on the other end of the floor, defensively, just somebody who's going to compete and be able to switch, with other bigger guys and be able to help that way. So again, just really just trying to see where, guys are comfortable at and trying to put everybody in the best position pretty much.
So Markelle, when you're out there when you're out on the bench, you're not playing and you're watching a guy like Paolo Banchero, his first few games in the league, what do you notice first about him, and what impressed you, what has impressed you the most? And then what were you looking forward to when you knew you were coming back to play with him?
I'll probably say what impressed me most is, how well he drew fouls consistently. He was getting to the free throw line. He was playing at his own pace. And just not scared of the moment. He's out there just being a basketball player and stepping up to the moment and, being unbelievable. But you don't realize how big he is until you see him in person as well. He's a big guy that can move. You kind of see him and Dell, and you're looking like, he's not that much smaller than Dell.
Right.
And
Right.
it's like, it just blows your mind. It just shows how versatile and how skilled he is. So that was probably like the biggest thing to me. And then also just how of a natural hooper he is. He doesn't try to force anything. He tries to play the game the right way. He competes. So again, I was just more so looking forward to the opportunity, to get on the floor with a guy like that and be able to compete with him.
All right, we want to know your impressions. Your first time you laid eyes on and met Bol compared to what he's doing now. I mean, did you envision any of this?
So it's actually pretty crazy. Growing up, I played on the Under Armour circuit. Bol was on the Under Armour circuit. So I kind of knew about Bol for a while now. And he's always been that kind of like lanky, unorthodox, very skilled player, fun to watch every time he has the ball. So I knew about him. And then I knew about him at, Pac-12. He was at Oregon.
Yep.
So I knew about him a little bit there. But, especially somebody like me who's been through a lot, I also understand about, opportunities and things that happen, So more so me, I would just know, I always knew that he was very talented. I was more so, just waiting on his opportunity to get a chance to show it. And I believe that it's perfect. He falls into our hands and he has a great chance and he's taking full advantage of it right now. And I think that it's, they're just happy to see somebody like that, that who's been through a crazy journey, who's been through something, and now is getting a chance to showcase his talent, and he's taking full advantage of it. So it's really crazy to see in person every day. Like some of the stuff he does, he just walks to the rim and does crazy dunks and shooting and grabbing a rebound out of the air before anybody grabbing it. It's just like, it blows your mind. But at the same time, it's like, I know he can do that, but it's just like, it's fun to watch for sure.
Do you get caught up on the floor? Do you get caught up kind of just watching him? Do you lose yourself a little bit? Because I wonder that sometimes, because we're on the sideline and you just find it. We've talked about it with like Terrence Ross and a couple other guys. Yeah. He's like mesmerizing to watch and you can't really figure out why, because he's just so unique. But do you get caught up ever on the floor, stuck watching him?
I would definitely say there is times when he gets those rebounds and he starts pushing on the break, and I try to run with him, but he's like, his strides are way longer, so you end up just being able to get to watch the show. It's like he's just dribbling around guys and then he just takes off, and it's like no one can, like, it's no one that can contest, and it's just like it's amazing to see him in that flow, and it's so like almost nonchalant, like he's just out there just in a free flow, and it's fun to be on the floor and to see.
I want to ask you about his personality, because this is fascinating to me. We've been around him for like 3 or 4 months. I don't think I've heard him say more than 2 or 3 sentences until the post-game interview that Dante and Quentin Richardson did with him after the Clipper game. I don't know if you saw that, but he was fantastic. I mean, he smiled. He had great answers, very thoughtful, very bright. You guys, he comes to the Magic, and I feel like you guys, his teammates, have helped him develop as a person, I mean, just bringing him out and, so that he can blossom as a player as well. How do you see all of that? What about him just as a person, as a player, the whole thing just seems to be blossoming right now.
Yeah, I think that you're just seeing a very confident guy. Not saying that he wasn't confident before, but also having a group of teammates and coaching staff and people around you that's encouraging you to, be more aggressive, be more, speak up more, because at the end of the day, we all have to communicate and know what everybody's thinking. But I think he's just becoming more comfortable around everybody, but also, it's a trust thing. I feel like he's believing in, he's trusting everybody. And again, he's a great dude. Again, he's very laid back and he doesn't want all the spotlight to be on him. But
Yeah.
again, as this is happening, it's kind of hard not to, you have to talk almost. So I think it's just something that's developing, and he's growing as a man and becoming more vocal. But again, the way he is the way he is, and it works for him. So like, again, we all know what he's thinking. We know that he's trying hard, but just trying to get him to talk a little bit more. And I think that's what I've seen.
I need you to talk to him tomorrow at practice, because I'm trying to get him to do a couple other things. And his response to me was, he goes, "Gee, I don't know if I want people to know me. I don't really want." And I'm like, "Come on, man! Like, we have some good stuff lined up for you." He just doesn't want it, which I respect that. I can respect that, but as the PR guy, I got to push him out there a little bit.
You got to get him
out of his comfort zone.
For sure. I think that's something that I'll try, but bowl is bowl.
You're my guy. I'm leaning on you now. I'm leaning on you for that.
Well, hey, Markelle, I get, people, while you were out the early part of the season, and everything, and people would be like, when is Markelle coming back? Or, what will the team look like when Markelle is back? What will our lineup look like? What will our style of play look like? And my best answer is, and based on last season, I feel like when you're in the game, that the tempo of the game, the way we play, speeds up a little bit. I look back last year on your 18 games that you were in, and we actually, our pace was about 4 possessions more when you were on the floor. But here's what I'm seeing now, Markelle, and just when you're back, is the chemistry with the guys and everything is still growing, isn't it? You've got a lot of guys, because you pointed out Franz and Paolo, who were responsible for getting the ball up the floor. Every time you get the ball, David will back me up on this. I'm like, run.
Yeah.
They're almost coming back to you a little bit, aren't they? How long is that going to take for because if they run, you're going to get them the ball, and we'll get a lot more easy baskets.
Absolutely. I think that's something that's so unique with this team. And I sometimes, and I know the coaches definitely feel this way as well, but you tend to forget that this team is very young, with the amount of talent that we have. So I believe the last game was like my 5th game back, and it's like you want all this stuff to go so fast, but it's like you have to understand the process of things. Like, I feel like we slowly been getting better and better, but this is something that, again, P and Paolo and Franz and even everybody has had to step up and become in this playmaking role. Again, it shows you how versatile the team is, but it's also, it has to take time for the chemistry and everything to gel. So I don't think that it'll take long, as long as we continue to come in every day and continue to talk to each other and get a feel for each other, which we're really locking in on now, is try to understand how can we help each other benefit. Because, Bo might get the rebound one time and want to push, or P might get the rebound one time and push. So understanding that, like, if these guys get it, we all have to be able to run the floor and get going. But my main thing is also, like, just trying to get our pace to continue. Make or miss, no matter who's got it, we got to try to push it and get up the floor faster so we can get a better chance to run our offense faster. So I don't think it'll take long. Again, we have a great Hoover who have guys that really pay attention to details and, want to do what's best for the team. So I think that, before you know it, it can happen like that,
I think you're right about that. All I know is that if I was playing with Markelle Fultz, when I rebounded, I'd get him the ball, and my first 3 steps would be down the court, because I know I'm going to back. So there you go.
Sir. Yes, sir.
Well, what's funny, guys? I know we appreciate it too, but we're watching Markelle play, and there's such a calming presence about him, right? There's such a maturity, and there's such a veteran presence. And then you look and he's 24. Right? You're still young yourself. That's a lot to put on you to be the veteran, the guy, the voice, the calming influence on everything. I mean, do you allow yourself to look and say, I'm just getting started. My whole basketball life is ahead of me, right? Do you think about what this thing is going to look like a few years down the road for you?
Absolutely. I think the biggest thing that I've said that I've learned over, the years and everything I've been through is understanding that I'm human at the end of the day and not putting so much expectations or pressure on myself to say, all right, this is all on me, or oh, I messed up, beating myself up, and just understand I'm human. You're gonna have good days, you're gonna have bad days. And just pushing through and just believing in the process. So with all this going on, it's crazy because I do feel like, a lot of people are looking up to me as like a big brother and like, just as somebody who's been through a lot, and then realizing that I'm 24 and I'm like, yo, these guys are
Right.
young. It's just like, it's almost like, it's crazy. I just laugh a lot at it sometimes because, most time when I say that, people are like, you 24, or you're young too. And I'm
Right.
like, yeah, I know, but it's just crazy. So I think that's something that's dope though, to be able to have somebody that's the same age as you, that's also been through a lot, I mean, it's some people take it this way, but they listen to people in the like ages instead of, like your parents and stuff like that. I don't know why. I listen to everybody, but that's how it goes,
I hear you. You're right.
Another guy that's got a little experience under his belt that, we're all missing right now, and he's coming back soon, hopefully, is Wendell. Talk about, from your standpoint, from your point of view, just how important Wendell Carter Jr. is to the basketball team.
I think he's a huge part of this team. I think it's something that we've been preaching since day one. Our team kind of goes off how his energy goes because of how impactful he can be on the game on both ends of the floor, as far as, setting screens all the way to rolling, to getting on the rim, to a shooting ability, to playmaking, to on the other end being a defensive anchor. So I think Wendell's a huge part of this team, and along with other guys that we have sitting on right now. But Wendell's just energy that he brings to the game, and just the person he is, in all, it's hard not to compete when you have a guy like that.
I want to go back, Kel, to what you were just talking about, though, if for a minute. You're saying you have a lot of guys that are looking up to you for advice, and like Dante said, you're only 24 years old. So who are you looking up to get advice from the other direction? Like you have to be looking upwards as well for somebody.
Yeah, I think I have a great, like I said, I talk to everybody because I can learn from these guys as well. It doesn't have to be your mistakes or your lesson that you learn from. But, I think the coaching staff does a great job of just talking to me and helping me get through these things. I have my support system. I have guys who are in the league that play years, Jamal Crawford, all types of guys, that I reach out to that are seeking to give me information. So any chance I can learn about the game or get better, I'm just trying to do that. And I think that's the best part about this game, and I have fun with it, because it brings me to meet a lot of people, and I can always get better.
You went to Washington, assuming you were going to team with DeJounte Murray and Marquise Chris, right? You thought that. Did you meet DeJounte before you went there? How much did you know about him?
He was actually my host when I went on my official visit there. So DeJounte, me and DeJounte are pretty close. We still talk now, but he was one of the main reasons why I went there as well.
Then what is the issue with Paolo? What was happening there? And have we put that to bed? Is that gone and done?
I think he probably went there if Coach Romar was still there. But I don't know. I actually need to, crack down more on that. I got to see what's going on. But
I thought it was over.
I think.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, that means.
How's Paolo been? What's something you can tell us about Paolo that maybe fans wouldn't see, Markelle? Because I know he seems to be a guy that's ready. He kind of wants this, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Paolo, like I said, Paolo is just a pure hooper. He really loves the game. He's a great kid. He just loves the game. He's fun to be around. He jokes with us. He's serious when he comes in to work. But I gotta say, he's very, very mature for his age. Like, he's his demeanor, everything. He just seems like he's been through a lot. I feel like it's Seattle. Seattle just especially being out there. They have a lot of hoopers, so he's been exposed to a lot of very skilled players. So I think like all that has to, and his parents, his upbringing. So I think all that has to play into it. But it's just hard to say. Paolo is just, Paolo's Paolo, man. He's cool. He's just smooth dude. What you see is what you get.
That's great.
You know, the Wagner brothers are such an interesting pair because they seem like totally different personalities. You know, I mean, Franz is quiet, Mo is not. That's an understatement. What's it like playing with those two guys and being around them in the locker room and on the road, et cetera?
Man, it's amazing, man. I think that those two guys right there, their connection and their, everything is huge. I think that it is like
it's great.
That's awesome.
This is that. I knew it. I saw her coming off the rearview mirror.
That was great.
You can never run, but
no, you can't hide. Yeah,
but yeah, no, it's amazing with them. Like you said, they're like two different personalities, but at the same time, their connection and their bond is unbelievable. I always talk to them like, how is it like to be with your brother? They carpool sometimes. They do a whole bunch of different things together. I'm like, that must be the coolest thing ever. But at the same time, I know they have their moments of bumping heads, but it's all fun, and I think they bring that chemistry to the team, and they just bring a certain type of joy and humor and just good people. It's just always good to be around them, and then the way they play the game is also very talented and unique. So it's just I'm thankful again to have them as teammates. Two great human beings and great basketball players.
Mo just kind of wears his emotions on his sleeve. I mean, there's no filter with Mo on the court. Do you feel like that's kind of rubbing off on Franz a little bit because Franz getting a little bit more
snappy? Yeah, I will say he's picked up some of. I think he's picked up some of Mo's trash talking. He definitely has his moments of getting under people's skin and talking. But you almost like it. You almost like seeing Franz sometimes when he gets in that mode because it's like, okay, Franz, like. If Franz is like that, we can all get there. So like again, it's always, but we sometimes it's funny because we might look at Mo and be like, look, don't get on him too bad. We don't need him having all your characteristics right now. But I love them, man. Those probably one of my. I love Mo, man. Sit next to Mo is probably one of the best things, and also I think a lot of people see our chemistry on the court, and he's just a great basketball player. He understands the game. He knows how to play, and that's why he's here.
What is your teach all the German curse words too? You can teach all those.
Yeah, I don't want those. I don't want to know those.
Did you see the movie Hustle? Did you see the job he did in Hustle?
Funny. He had this one little. I was a little disappointed. I wanted him to have some more clips, but he did his thing, man.
It wasn't a stretch. You got a couple of those. No, he was playing himself.
We've seen a few of those,
But he wants to do more. He said he loved it. He's got the bug. He wants.
Of course, to listen. If you were in a movie with Adam Sandler, you want to shoot.
Of course.
Yeah, he wants to do more. No, really, no kidding.
Yeah.
I want to do more too. I want to do more movies too. Yeah, no kidding.
Oh, yeah, well, that's how it works. Hey, take us through your mentality, Markelle, when you're coming down the floor. And you said, Jeff has mentioned it and trying to get guys to run with you. There's some times, obviously, where you're looking to get your own shot. And the end of games, I think, is great. But what is your mentality most of the time? When you have the basketball in your hands, is it all feel? Are you always looking to facilitate first? Do you go until they stop you? I'm going to try to get to the basket until they stop me. What typically is your mentality when you have the basketball?
Yeah, typically I'm just trying to be aggressive. And when I'm saying aggressive, I'm obviously, trying to get to the rim. I feel like that's the easiest bucket you can get. And usually when I'm doing that, I draw such a crowd. A lot of guys usually try to come either help or, crack down or stop me from getting there because I'm capable of getting there. So that normally just opens up easy passing lanes from there. So normally, just trying to be really aggressive. I think I have times where, I'm just trying to get our offense in a great flow, and I feel like a feel for the game where maybe we didn't get a good shot, and there's times I'm trying to get a good shot. But sorry. But for the most part, yes. Definitely, like especially this year, just really trying to be aggressive, and try to, look to score, and everything else will come from that. I think when I'm being aggressive, the plays will come, and I'm always trying to make the right play. So,
Kel, when you're in warmups, can you feel whether you're going to have a good night or not, or does that have no? There's some guys that do and some guys that don't. But the other night in Cleveland, I was watching you warm up just in the pregame. you were hitting like every shot you threw up from the outside. Every shot. And I
Yeah.
said, there was nobody around me. I was by myself. I couldn't find David. I couldn't find Jeff.
Yeah.
And all I thought was, I'm like, man, Markelle might put up like 10 threes tonight, the way
Yeah.
he's shooting in pregame. But then the game went, and obviously the game gives you what the game is going to give you. And I think you only took 2 that night. And I was like, man, do you feel like a night like that where is there any correlation at all?
I definitely think there is. I think there is sometimes, I go through a warm up or I go through a shooter time, and I have this feeling like, all right, tonight's gonna be a good night. At least like I feel good, everything feels comfortable. And there's definitely some times where I don't feel as good. I try to, on those nights, try to get my mind right to just be prepared for whatever, and just at those moments compete to do whatever to help my team win. But I will say there is definitely nights where, I'm shooting it and it feels really good. And then sometimes I'm like, all right, I don't want to shoot too much because I don't want to shoot all my good ones out. So those are the tricky moments where it gets to the point where, sometimes you got to lay it back and go to maybe some layups or free throws or something. But I will say I do feel like most of the time I can tell by my warm up and how I feel in those times. How the game.
Let me ask you
that
this,
night
because
I thought you were going nuts, but go ahead.
I was going to ask both Jeff and Markelle, as players, have you had many nights where, oh man, this is going to be a long night. I can't, everything. I'm throwing up air balls. Or
David,
I'm
you watched
left,
me most
right.
of my career. That was
You
the
didn't
case
miss
for most of my career.
No, you always look. Jeff always looked great in warm-ups. It's when the game started.
That's when the game started.
That's funny.
Come on, JT.
Oh,
I was really good in October. That's when I was
that's
really
right.
good.
That was your month.
Mr. October. But have you had many nights where you didn't feel like you had it going, but then the game starts and all of a sudden there's a switch that goes on and now things have changed?
I think for me, definitely. And I think that those are the moments where I prepare myself mentally to be able to do whatever I need to do for my team and not just think about basketball and scoring aspects. I think that sometimes that can become a thing as far as, your shot isn't falling, but there's always other things you can do in the court. And that's when I rely on my defense. I rely on, just competing effort. And then next thing you know, you end up getting a free throw or you end up getting an easy layup. And anything can happen from seeing the ball going once. So I definitely think those moments have happened before. But my biggest thing is not letting, whatever happened, the shot before, not letting that impact the next play. As long as I do that, I feel like, I win.
Markelle, so then the other side, from the position that you play and your responsibility on the floor, I guess the next question would be, do you watch your teammates? And, I think it's more so in the game. It's kind of one of my pet peeves. You see it a lot when you watch basketball is there'll be a guy that's got it going, right? And sometimes the ball doesn't find him anymore, right?
Yeah, right.
I almost feel like, like a good point guard, a good, lead guard or whatever, make sure that never happens. If a guy's got it going, we got to find him. We got to milk it for all it's worth. Do you do that? Do you watch your teammates in warm-ups?
Absolutely. That's my biggest thing. Not even just in warm-up, just reading the game. And I feel like, again, I have a good enough connection with my friends that the other side to that is also knowing when somebody hasn't got a shot in a minute and understanding that, that ball brings energy. So just having somebody even just touch the ball can bring them energy, and then they want to play defense harder for the team and want to do more. So I try to pay attention to all those things. And again, definitely if somebody got it going, trying to get them another shot, because most of the time, even if they're doing that, they're a decoy, and they can get somebody else open. So that's one thing that I look for. And then also, again, if somebody hasn't touched it a few times down, knowing that I want to have everybody locked in and involved on the offensive end and on the defensive end, trying to get them a shot and have them understanding, like, keep playing.
If a guy makes a big defensive play, do you have that, oh man, I got to get rewarded,
right.
Guy blocks a shot.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's big. And then just trying to get everybody to have that type of feel,
Markelle, with JJ Redick, what was he? How much of an influence was he for you when you were in Philadelphia? And what kind of advice did he give you? And do you look at him and now he's drinking wine, he's doing podcasts, right? You start looking, he's set himself up pretty nicely for life.
Absolutely, man. JJ has been an unbelievable role in my career and my life, like a big brother to me. We actually had a plenty of talks when I was in Philly, just sitting down and also going through everything I've been through. He was actually one of the guys that actually stuck up to me to media out there before. And yeah, we had a lot of great talks. You know, JJ's an unbelievable guy, unbelievable basketball player, but being able to, get to meet him as a person was unbelievable. And to see what he's doing now, and I know that he probably, wants to still be hooping, but he's still, around basketball talk, good basketball talk. It's fun to see him do what he's doing now and, use his platform in a great way.
Yeah. He goes everywhere. We got one or two fan questions they wanted to ask you, and I think it's, if you don't mind. Number one is just the number 20. Remind everybody again, Markelle, why you wear the number 20.
So actually, freshman year at DeMatha, I wanted to try out for varsity, JV. They had varsity, JV, and freshman. I wanted to try out for all three, but we can only try out for one. So I tried out for freshman and I ended up making it. And so they're passing the jersey out, and I'm pretty much in line. And like when I get up there, they only have like a few jerseys left, but one of them 20, and I feel like the other ones were like high numbers, like just crazy numbers, like 52 or something like that. So I went with 20. I went with 20, and I'm like, okay, that's cool. So then the next year I come back and I get cut from varsity, and pretty much the same thing kind of happens, like the jersey thing, and 20 is the only number left. So I get 20 again, and then I stuck with 20 through that, and I feel like it just had like a story with it, just with me, being cut from varsity and playing JV and keeping that number, and I've just always been able to have the number. So I'm lucky I didn't have nobody have. Well, actually, when I came to Philly, somebody did have my number, but through my relationship and being so kind, he gave it to me. No fee. No fee.
It's
Oh,
no
nice.
fee. That's the key.
Wow,
the
that's
key.
huge.
Yeah, it's like it's 20. It was fate. It's like 20 was following you around.
Yes,
It's-
that's right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's what it was. All right. So, who was your favorite NBA player growing up?
I actually had Kevin Durant and Jamal Crawford were my two. Like those two were like who I always loved watching. Those are my favorite players.
So, what's it like then to now, like you mentioned before, that Jamal Crawford is a guy that you lean on for things?
Yeah.
Is that surreal to you that he was one of your favorites?
It's super crazy. Like when I met him in Seattle, that was probably like one of the dopest moments. And he's like one of the real down to earth guys that you'll ever meet. Just a kind guy. And that's when I realized, like, all right, if I'm going to be a pro, like, that's kind of how I want to be. I don't never want to change. I just want to continue to be humble and, like, be me. And so it was just very dope. I think, being able to meet him in person and the way he is made it even cooler. And, again, I'm a big supporter of him.
All right, last thing, you're welcome to the NBA moment. Quentin Richardson had us laughing last night. He goes, I'm in Denver. I'm dying. I can't breathe. Take a timeout 4 minutes in, and my guy's got 18 points. he said that was my welcome to the NBA moment. These guys are pretty good. Do you have an aha moment? I can't believe I'm here in the NBA doing this. Does anything stick out?
Man, I mean, I think the biggest thing was my first game we played in Washington, D.C. And I think I got crossed up by John Wall pretty bad in front of my home crowd. And he made the shot. I think that was probably like one of my biggest. And the other one was probably the Fred VanVleet when he crossed me and made me fall in Toronto. And that was a few years later, but that was probably like my real
Wow.
I'm on a highlight tape. Like I don't think I ever fell before that. I've been before, but I never fell. But I know it's part of the game, so I wasn't really tripping.
No, exactly. And you've compiled enough victims the other way, so you're fine.
Exactly.
You don't have to worry about that. Well, we appreciate it, Markelle. Thank you so much. I know I don't want to speak for everybody, but I know I'm thrilled. We're all thrilled to have you back, man. This is awesome.
Absolutely. I really appreciate it.
Great.
All right, thanks. We can't wait to see what comes of the rest of the season. Good luck. Welcome back, and thanks again, Markelle. We're looking forward to it.
Thanks, Markelle.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
That'll do it for this edition of Magic Pod Squad.